Fifth adult child, June 20th, grief work. Grief work can take many forms and can bring some of the greatest rewards of the program. Some grief work involves journaling, in which we write about incidents in our life and reflect on the feelings we had at that moment. Big Red Book, page 202. We ignored our grief because it did not seem like it belonged to us. For years, we didn't feel we had permission to feel sad or to experience loss. In our families, we were taught to not talk, not trust, and not feel. No one ever sat us down and told us that explicitly, but we knew that was the rule. One of the tools we use in recovery is the art of journaling all of the things we've been holding in for so long in order to help us get in touch with our inner child. An effective writing variation is the non dominant handwriting exercise described in the Big Red Book. It is a powerful way of getting clues to stored trauma in our bodies. We allow that hurt to surface and provide ourselves the space to heal, to cry, to bleed, to sob, to laugh, and to experience the joy we were robbed of as children and even adults. It's one of the ways we get to the other side of our grief. And here is our affirmation. On this day, I will make time to journal about my feelings as a way of expressing the grief I hold from my childhood. Copyright 2013 by Adult Turned Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families, World Service Organization. Hey there. Yeah, I didn't do a video yesterday because I got off track. I've been off track a few days now. That's okay. Back on track. That's what this program is about. Just getting right back up and keep moving forward, man. Adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families, ACA, is very much a double-edged sword. Because on one hand, you're getting to process all the unresolved shit from the years, but on the other hand, as you do so, you're starting to lose those people in your life that you depended on, that you relied on, that you loved, that have been part of your life for as long as you can remember. And to try to be without them is like suffocation, like you can't breathe. And of course, part of that is a codependent germ, thinking we can't live without someone or we're just going to die. Uh, you know, that's part of the disease, part of the affliction. So we've got to push through and continue to try to heal from stuff that hurt us then and continues to affect us as adults. Otherwise, we'll stay in it. And in the short term, it looks better to be in blissful ignorance, just ignoring what happened. But in the long run, we never really get to heal and process what has happened. So it is a double-edged sword. And I've thought about this a couple of times recently. Is it better to just ignore the pain, to not talk about this stuff in a negative way, to not focus on the negative? Because there is some truth to focusing on the negative. If you focus on the problem, you're going to have a problem. The problem increases. That's part of the big book. That's in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It says that clearly. There's a story in there called Acceptance Was the Answer. If you focus on the problem increases. If you focus on the solution increases. So I do wonder, by talking about the past, am I focusing on the problem and making the problem worse as possible? Or by focusing on it, dealing with it, trying to resolve it, do things get better? And that's debatable right now, to be honest. That's debatable. Because if I look at my relationship with those family members, it has gotten worse since I started ACA. But part of that could be because I fell down in some of my recovery stuff. I didn't let things go. I took things too personally. And I got up in arms about stuff, and maybe that's what caused some of it. I've got to look at my part in things. I'm willing to do that. But Yes, there's still unresolved grief, and yes, that stuff will haunt you if you don't process it and get it out in the form of writing, non dominant handwriting, mirror work, words of affirmation, therapy. I'm doing therapy right now, and I do some journaling. I've been slacking off on my journaling recently simply because of I just got lazy. This is my first real full day, no, my second full day off the vape again. I was on the vape for about 3 days or so, about 3 days, and now I'm back off. So I'm withdrawing from nicotine. The good news is I wasn't on it long enough, hopefully, for that to have really got me too hooked. And yesterday I went and ate buffet and I drank a bunch of that Thai milk tea, and that's loaded with sugar and caffeine. So I got a buzz off that. I'm probably crashing from that. Hopefully I can stay away from tea and coffee or soda or anything with caffeine. I thought, well, let's substitute one addiction for another. That's what happens with addicts. See, we get off one addiction and then we substitute it for another. That's the addicted mind. And it's okay. If you admit you're an addict through and through, you're going to be better off admitting that. Trust me. And then you can surrender to HP and just keep moving forward. So here we are today. I do have a 30-day extension in Thailand. It was about $50. It was just stamped me in, boom. And I'm good for 30 more. I'm good until July 25th. So I'm set for another 30 days. At that point, I don't know what we'll do. I really don't. I do feel like I need to get back to the States and take care of a couple things, but I need to think about it. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do with my time here. If I do decide to stay for the whole 30 days, I at least have the option of doing so. And yeah, just before you get into AC and before you start taking a look at this stuff and dealing with these relationships, be very mindful of be mindful of the consequences of doing some of this work, because it could at first it could get worse before it gets better. The relationship with people who are not ready to face any of the stuff going on um, could run people off. But they may have already been run off anyway, and it was just a matter of time before one thing was said and the whole relationship blew apart. Hard to say, but you just keep praying for those people. You do your best, and you hope that one day they'll come around and God will touch their hearts. But don't count on it, because there are factions that get those types of people. They live off factional warfare, and if they can keep things divided, that's just in their nature. And of course, if you say things that hurt them, they're just gonna back off, cut you off, and that's the price to be paid for speaking your truth. That's why I say it's a double-edged sword, man. It's a double-edged sword. Be careful how you proceed. Proceed with caution. Tread lightly. Do your best, and hopefully things can work out. But feel the loss. For me, there's a ton of loss, and when I use things like vape, caffeine, overeating, binging on YouTube, when I do all that stuff, I'm running away from having to sit with the grief of the loss, because that's all frozen there. And when I get down enough and I get emotional enough, it'll break out and I'll cry. And what I'm crying about is all the loss of people recently, the loss of what could have been, the loss of normality, the good memories too, the bad memories, the good memories. And you miss people, You miss grandparents and people. You miss the good times. You miss what could have been, like I said. And it's sad. It hurts. And it hurts when people don't talk to you because they're blaming you and thinking they're high and mighty. They're not. They're just the same as you. They're just processing things in a different way. And they don't have tolerance for people in pain. They can't because they're not feeling. There's a lack of empathy. They were raised to not have empathy. So that's something that you've got to acknowledge as well. If the people aren't coming around and feeling your pain or trying to understand what you're going through, that's because they were raised to lack empathy. They're a product of their environment, so we have to have some patience, pity for them moving forward. So that's all I've got today. We're going to stop it here. I've got to go grab some breakfast and try to clear my mind at the temple. We're going to meditate like I used to, try to get back on track. Till next time, guys, all the best.